He's the Hall of Famer, Clippers consultant, of course, former Laker GM and player Jerry West joining us on the program. Jerry, is that a real background there?
I'm sorry?
Is that a real background? Is that you got palm trees behind you?
Yes, I actually been in Palm Springs for about 2.5 months, and it's getting a little hot down here. So it's about ready to head back to Los Angeles here very soon.
Happy birthday, by the way. Is the best gift to not bring up that it's your birthday?
Well, Dan, I guess I've been fortunate to be around for 82 years, and also it's my anniversary. So I thought it would be best to get married on my birthday so I'd never forget it. But I did forget it one time. Try that one for size.
What happened?
Just in the middle of a season, and sometimes when you get there, birthdays were never important when I grew up, and I guess it was just a minor thing, and more importantly, it was just something that wasn't important. And I guess as you go along today and been involved, and obviously a few people know me, gotten a lot of notes and everything, and it's really nice to hear from people at this point in your life.
And this is your 40th wedding anniversary. So 40 years ago, how many NBA players showed up for your wedding?
I don't know if any did. 40, actually, it's 42, Dan.
Oh, 42 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So you didn't have teammates who showed up for your wedding?
Oh, no. This was well after my career, and the playing days, and it wasn't a huge wedding anyway. But anyway, a lot of crazy things I've seen in my life in my 82 years of time. That's for sure.
Well, happy birthday. How many conversations have you had with Clippers players or Doc Rivers or anybody, Steve Ballmer, with the possibility of when we come back?
Actually, a number, Dan. We are like all teams, I'm sure. We've had a lot of stuff like this going on. We try to have a guest each week that provides some insight on some of the things they've done as athletes. Very successful people, and issues that they've gone through in their lives, and really talking about how do you keep yourself motivated during this period of time when there's so much uncertainty around. But at the end of the day, I think these conversations have helped because they keep people aligned. And I think more importantly, here's some people who've had enormous success in their respective fields in their lives.
Yeah, we're trying to figure this out, and then I don't know what safeguards are put in place, and can we put everybody in Orlando, and how many teams do we take playoff-wise? Do you have suggestions on that of do we make it 20 because there's 4 teams that are closer in the West for that final playoff spot?
Well, Dan, I think, first of all, to me, and I've said this before, and I don't know what they'll do, but I think they need to have at least teams should play at least 72 games, okay, because it's only 12 less in the regular season. And also it gives the team that are on the bubble and trying to make the playoff, it'll give them a chance to get in there and compete at a high level to try to get into the playoffs. And then I'm not sure how the playoff format would work or not. Would they expand a little bit more? I think the most awkward thing, and the questions we ask all of these really fun people that we've been involved with, great players in a lot of respective fields, what their advice might be. And the one thing I think most people don't realize when you're trying to stimulate your players and keep them involved with their friends and also their teammates is communication. And the league is communicating as much as they can. There's a lot of things they have to take in consideration here. But this is obviously, Dan, an awkward time in trying to figure out what the dynamics are going to be. People are talking about playing in a bubble with no fans. I'm not sure how they could do it in one place. To me, it would be better to let the teams in the West, say, play in Las Vegas, where there's facilities there, plenty of hotel rooms, and in Orlando, keep the teams in the East. That would make it a little bit easier, I think. Also, to satisfy the contents of our relationship with ESPN, our relationship with TNT, And all our providers who are broadcasting the games were people who are frankly starving for competition.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought that they were going to do, like a satellite city and have it in Las Vegas and have the West Coast teams play there and then have the East Coast teams play in Orlando. The question would be then, where do you play the NBA championship? I guess you could have one team go to Orlando or Vegas. What about the possibility that you could have a Lakers Clippers NBA Finals if we're just going to seed it 1 through 16 and not have the East Coast, West Coast, Jerry?
Well, for me, Dan, that would be the ultimate competition. I think in Los Angeles, they have so many Laker fans. My goodness, the enormous success that the Lakers have had over the years. They have a really good team now. Two of the best players that we've seen in a long time on one team. I think it would be incredible for the people in the West. I'm not sure how that would go over for the teams back east who want to see their respective teams get an opportunity to play. But that would be a situation where I think it would be unbelievably competitive. It would be compelling that I don't know how many teams in the same city have competed for a championship in any sport, much less the NBA. But it would make a compelling story. But in all likelihood, I think you're going to see things that are that'll be a little bit more normal without offending any of the teams. We have a lot of teams in this league, and it's not about one or two teams. A league is comprised of all of the teams, all the players, and what you want, more importantly, you want competition a bit against the best teams.
We're talking to Jerry West, the Hall of Famer, Clippers consultant. Did you see The Last Dance, the Bulls documentary?
I did. A lot of that stuff, Dan, I knew about. I knew some of the partners. I mean, a lot of the players, obviously, because I was really involved then. And also knew Jerry Krause, and I've known the Reinsdorf for years, and have always really liked Jerry. And Jerry Krause at one time had worked with us, and his. There's some people that have been hurt in this documentary. I don't think there's any question, and there's probably some hard feelings, but it was pretty raw at times. The language, if you listen to it, was offensive for some people, but that's really the way the players talk to each other in the locker room. It's become much more prevalent, by the way. It wasn't like that when I played, and it was because people, Michael. I love Michael Jordan. Okay, he's one of my best buddies in terms of never changing. He does not change. Okay, he's a fun-loving guy. He's compassionate, and I think you could see the really competitive part come out of him. But he also, I think some of that stuff gets, when you see the real raw part of it, a lot of it was kidding and everything because he does like the kid. And I'm not trying to defend him from people who look at him as anything other than this iconic player. But there's, Scottie Pippen, to me, was damaged in this because they made a point to talk about a couple things in his career that certainly weren't what you'd like to see. And I know Scottie, I'm sure he feels horrible about it. Then Jerry Krause, who just a nice guy, and who had done a very good job in Chicago, become almost pinata, for Christ's sake. They hit him, throw things at him, derogatory remarks. And when you have success players are the ones who bring the ultimate success. But someone has got to put those pieces together. And I also thought it was with Phil Jackson there as a coach. I'm not so sure any coach could have handled that situation except him. Dennis leaving, someone I do really like Dennis myself. Him leaving, going to a WWF wrestling thing, body slamming someone, then going back and playing games. Yeah. I'm not so sure any coach could handle that except Phil.
When I watch the Jordan documentary, it just brought back what Kobe never shied away from being the next Michael. He wanted to be better than Michael Jordan. Mannerisms, the way he talked, the way he played, similar size there. Did you ever talk to Kobe about, that, or did you know that he wanted to be Michael Jordan?
Well, Dan, almost everything he did, you could watch him in practice and you say, oh my gosh, I've seen Michael do this, I've seen Michael do that. But I really think the crowning moment to that, the real crowning moment, and when Michael first jumped up on the benches where the staff are, the writers are, right courtside there, he jumped up and started this very exuberant celebration.
Yeah.
Who did that? Kobe Bryant. Exactly the very same thing. And I think he admired him so much. He admired how he played and also the enormous success he had, both as a team, but also as an individual. And you're talking about players that are obviously wired differently. You hear some of the incredible players that play the game today in all sports, and just see how they're really different they are in their pursuit of excellence. And certainly his pursuit of excellence was just like Michael's.
Yeah, because guys wanted to sort of shy away from, hey, Grant Hill's the next Michael Jordan, Tracy McGrady's the next Michael Jordan, Anthony Hart. Kobe was the only one to say, bring it on. Like, I want that. And I always admire, he never shied away from that. And I mean, it's pretty incredible that he didn't shy away from that possible comparison or that title.
No, well, Dan, if you knew him at an early age, that's who he was. He was so committed and so driven. He would go play basketball any place against anyone. And every year, every practice, you're going to see something different out of him. And for a while, it was a problem because it's not an individual game. Individuals can win games for you and big games. A lot of players don't want the pressure. The really good ones bring it on, and that's who he became when he learned how the nuances of the game, to tone his game down a little bit, so you could have a team instead of an individual. But late in the game and times when you needed a basket, he was going to get it for you, just as Michael Jordan did. But his infatuation with him was far greater than most people know. I think Michael talked about it in the documentary how they communicated. And I think it shows you that there's certain people in this world that are leaders, and there's certain people that have the same kind of desire to reach that status. And it's a learning process. You just don't pick it up immediately. It takes time. Also, it takes success and a belief that people that you're playing with and the success that you have, that people are going to follow that. But only a few people can follow it. You can be the greatest competitor in the world, and you can be the greatest trainer. You hear this Kobe mentality, the mentality of Michael. There's tons of players out there that have that same mentality, Dan, but they don't have the ability to be able to go out and dominate a game. They can have great games, but they can't dominate games, and they can't dominate a season like certain players do.
Did you keep any of your jerseys? Do you got stuff memorable? You don't strike me as a guy who's going to keep memories or memorabilia, but I'm just curious.
No. And I look around you, and I have no idea where that stuff you get comes from. I'm looking on the screen here right now, and I guess if anyone sent you anything that would have any significance, you'd have it out there. But
oh yeah,
I've never been a collector, Dan, of anything and nothing. I just say if you would come in my house, you would not see maybe one or two things that might remind you that I was a player in yesteryear. And I've always been that way. To me, it was about, you played for the city, you played for the organization, and you played to have success. And all of those things for me were what drove me in my career. And I look back and watch these guys today with and Kobe and Michael, obviously. Michael, I think, first started at his desire to get fitter, stronger, and be able to compete against the Pistons, who were notoriously physical. And at that point in time, I think their presence in the league probably helped change the league, because some of the fouls that they committed were very hard. But this had gone on for years, and because of Detroit's success, certainly they didn't care who it was. Your fanny was going to be in the ground if you're in the air going for a layup. But they helped change the rules, to be honest with you. But Michael started this. You could see the difference in him in a couple of years. Just how much bigger he got, leaner looking, and I don't think I've ever seen an athlete like him that has ever been that explosive, and the quickness and his ability to run. I read somewhere that Michael said he ran like a 4.340.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even pushing it. And I'm saying to myself, how can you have that kind of running ability and the enormous quick leaping ability he had? I don't know what his vertical was, but it was ridiculous. But the skill involved just put him in another class.
Yeah, not fair. Happy birthday. My thanks to your lovely wife, Karen, for all that she's done over the years in setting up these interviews. We always appreciate your time, and hopefully we get some basketball. And thank you, Jerry.
Dan, always great to speak to you. And we need something. It's time in the world, that's for sure.
That's the great Jerry West, Hall of Famer, turning 82 today and celebrating his wedding anniversary as well. We're back after this in the Dan Patrick Show.